On this episode of China Uncensored, Taiwan's new president needs to lean in. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. 2 weeks ago, Taiwan's first female president, Цай Ин-уen, was sworn into office. And despite the fact that Tsai promised to maintain the status quo between China and Taiwan, her inauguration speech did not explicitly endorse the One China policy. That's the agreement where both China and Taiwan agree that they both belong to the same China, while intentionally being vague about which China each one is talking about. So Chinese officials threatened to stop communication with Taiwan unless Tsai publicly acknowledges that there is only one China. And then, last week, criticism of Tsai took on a more personal tone. State-run Xinhua News published a commentary that accused Tsai of being emotional, extremist, and erratic because she's single. This completely level-headed and non-emotional article was written by Wang Weixing, a PLA officer and member of the Association for Relations Across the Taiwan Straits, the semi-government body that deals with Taiwan. And his article got so controversial that the propaganda department ordered it to be deleted. But thanks to web cache, it will live on the internet forever. Like that embarrassing photo of me from college. Here to talk about cross-straits relations and extreme emotional reactions, here's the only woman on the China Uncensored team, Shelley Zhang.
Thanks, Chris.
What are you doing?
Finding balance. It's what I do as a woman. It's in my yoga. It's in my work/life. It's even in my tea.
So you're not surprised that Wang Weixing accused Tsai Ing-wen of being unbalanced?
Well, it's hardly the first time an unmarried female leader has been through this. Look at South Korean President Park Geun-hye, or former Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard. Frankly, I think Wang is probably the kind of guy who would find any woman who became leader of a country unbalanced, even this woman.
That's pretty good. I wonder if I could learn to do that.
Nope.
Anyway, do you think the Xinhua article revealed a difference in sexism across the two straits?
In a way, yes. If the All-China Women's Federation considers educated 27-year-olds leftover women, then 59-year-old Tsai, who has a master's degree from Cornell and a PhD from the London School of Economics, is the moldy lasagna in the back of my fridge that I'm afraid to look at. Also, Taiwan has a much higher portion of women politicians than mainland China, almost double the percentage in their legislature. But all this is ultimately a distraction.
How so?
The party doesn't really care about Tsai being an unmarried woman. What they're really worried about is how she keeps using the C word when talking about Taiwan.
Which C word is that?
Country, Chris. Tsai called Taiwan a country several times during her inauguration speech.
The same speech where she didn't refer to China and Taiwan as one China?
Yep. And Chinese officials are getting worried that their plan to subtly retake Taiwan with economic incentives and promises of autonomy aren't looking so good lately.
Yeah, especially since Hong Kong is turning out to not be the shining example of one country, two systems that they were hoping would convince Taiwan.
So that's why Wang called Tsai erratic. Classic distraction. Look at that crazy woman taking out her repressed need to have a family by calling Taiwan a country. And in a way, I don't blame Wang for his article, Chris. You see, mainland Chinese of his generation grew up being told that China and Taiwan, they weren't really separated. They were just on a break. They were both still part of one big happy China. And people like Wang hoped that someday Taiwan and China were going to get back together.
It was looking up for a while there. Closer economic ties, increasing tourism. Their leaders met in person for the first time ever.
But now it's looking like that break might have been a breakup after all.
Thanks, Shelley, for opening the wounds of divorced families everywhere. And thank you for watching China Uncensored. Leave your comments below, and if you like this episode, please support China Uncensored on Patreon. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time. On this episode of China Uncensored, the People's Daily is totally not making inappropriate and erotic online content. But oh, how to get the youth interested in communism again. All you need is to change your image. You've had your communist takeover, but now it's time for your communist makeover. You know, a little less young Lenin and a little more young Stalin. And you thought Che Guevara had the best communist hairdo. Anyway, that's exactly what the Chinese regime wants to do. Get this generation of young Chinese to realize communism is totally lit.